Hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here. And hey everybody, Marcus C. Williams here. And tonight we're going to talk about many of the issues that are going on, including the fire in California and what's going on with the American expansionism that's being pushed by President Trump. So I encourage you real quick, share this video, hit like, hit the heart button, drop some comments. I'll do my best to pop up the comments as we go through, and definitely make sure that you subscribe and follow if you're not already following or subscribed. So share this out as we have this conversation. Let's jump into it. Man alive, I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on with the fires in California right now. It is amazing. And I don't mean that in a good way. Like, I am absolutely amazed at the ineptitude of California and their forestry management and Governor Newsom to prevent this level of destruction and disaster from befalling all of these Californians. And I know many of you guys are like, well, it's California, they vote liberal and they're all Democrats and stuff like that. That's not the point. This is a failure of government. There's only one real thing that government is supposed to do: give you a reasonable sense of safety. Otherwise, government is completely useless. That's why, if you follow me, many times I'll harp on public safety, because that's a part of it. But disaster safety, disaster readiness, this was an absolute abysmal failure by Governor Newsom and the forestry people for California. Not to mention, people in different various departments and agencies cut, what was it? I think the LA County, they cut $17 million from the fire department budget, and all types of other stuff was going on. This is bad, you guys. We're going to jump into this. I'm going to show you a couple of videos. Please drop some comments below. Drop some hearts, even if it's some emojis that you want to put in the comments. Comment what your thoughts are, and I'll try to pop them up on the screen. As we go through this, you are going to see some incredible footage, and it's just, I don't even know how to describe it. You got to look at it for yourself. We're going to start with this right here. Check this out.
Here at the Palisades Fire, you can see behind me how quickly this is growing. Hundreds and hundreds of personnel all throughout the state of California are here. Coming from Northern California, we pre-positioned 110 engines. We've got fixed-wing aircraft, helicopters, dozers, water tenders, specialty personnel, putting everything we can to not only suppress this fire, but to prevent additional fires over the course of the next few days. Unprecedented winds for this time of year. And of course, this time of year traditionally has not been fire season, but now we disabuse any notion that there is a season. It's year-round in the state of California. Go to ready.ca.gov, ready.ca.gov to learn more about how you can prepare and how you can be vigilant.
Now that's Governor Newsom. I don't know about you, but that might as well have been a campaign advertisement for this man. California wasn't ready. They should have been ready, but due to horrible forestry practices and even worse water management, and I've gone over this in other videos before with the horrible quality of water management. Remember, California's been in a drought for years. I use the term lightly, drought, because it's really less that it's been a drought. It's just that it's been horrible water management. Then we saw that they got all of this extra rain last year, and they just let it all go into the ocean. They just drained it right out into the ocean instead of filling up all the reservoirs and all of the areas where they could store the water. Just let it all run out into the ocean. Horrible water management. Then a couple years ago, when Trump was president last time, he talked about the poor forestry methods that they had for containment and prevention, where they wouldn't clean the forest floors of all the debris and roughage. They wouldn't trim back trees that were near power lines and all these other issues. And he mentioned that, and they dragged that man all across TV and the internet for talking about things like that. And that's highly disappointing, because he was right. You know, you don't have to like somebody for them to be right, you know, but many people, when somebody else is right, if they don't like them, they can't even admit it. And that's a very, very, very serious issue, like we're seeing right now with these problems in California. But did you see that video by Newsom? Newsom knows that he let all that water flow out to the ocean and didn't actually capture it when they needed it most. And there's been other ongoing issues with irrigation and farming in California because of that. And I've done videos on that before. So this is something I've been covering for some time. It's a travesty what's been done to California, a once great state that has been eviscerated by this, I don't even know what you want to call him. Not a very good governor is what I'll term it very nicely. Drop some comments, drop some hearts, hit the thumbs up, hit the like, share this out, okay? Let's check out this other video here. After Newsom said, we're so prepared, everything's fantastic, everything's great. Check this video out.
Because these gusty winds are really just like a blowtorch when you get up in that canyon. We had to move our van like 2 or 3 times just being up there to kind of give you that visual of the flames. It was moving so fast we really couldn't stay in the area for that long. But we're hoping to see these people get loaded up into these shuttles as soon as they can, you guys.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is.
So this is a shot of people that have been evacuated from one of the many nursing homes in that part of California. This spanned over multiple cities. It was the Palisades. It was Aclid. I don't even know how to say it. I'm not from over there. Aclid or something like that. And then even into Malibu and a couple of other small townships and stuff like this. And there were two different giant fires. So this was really, really something crazy that's going on, and it wasn't being managed properly. The government didn't prepare for it properly. And on top of that, I got this other video, and it's going to make y'all flip out. Now check this video out. But before you do, make sure you hit share, like, heart, drop a comment. Even if it's an emoji, we'll try to pop it up for you on the screen. Check this video out here.
But their hands have been tied, and they can't fight a fire without water and the resources that are needed. Everybody knew these winds were coming. The other question has to be, were all the things in place to try to, again, mitigate the damage here? But the real issue to me is twofold. We've had decades to go remove the brush in these hills that spread so quickly. And the second is, you got to have water, and my understanding is the reservoir was not refilled in time and in a timely manner to keep the hydrants going. So that's a failure, whether on DWP's part or another city agency. But this is basic stuff. This isn't high science here. And it's all about leadership and management that we're seeing a failure of, and all of these residents are paying the ultimate price for that.
That was going to be my next question, is why isn't there water in the fire hydrants? That doesn't make any sense.
You're right. That's a good question. And I think you should start asking, why don't you call the mayor who's out of the country and ask her and get an answer from her?
Well, they say she's on her way back, and that would be a great question to ask her tomorrow if she's at this briefing at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I think there's a lot of people that are outraged by that fact tonight when they look at scenes like this, at businesses that people have worked really, really, really hard to build, and homes that people's entire livelihoods are going up in flames tonight. So for you, watching this and seeing those flames.
Absolutely terrible, horrific. They did not have enough water for the fire hydrants. What type of insanity is that? And as you heard them say, they've had decades to deal with the brush and the issues with all of the extra vegetation and it being all dried out. There was an article a couple years back talking about over 10 million dead trees in California that have not been attended to. That's serious. That's a lot of fuel for these type of fires and stuff like that. And they didn't clean up the area. They don't do any real management. And I know that they do some, but they don't. It's very clear that this was a preventable tragedy. And as of this count today, we're talking tens of thousands of homes have been destroyed across multiple jurisdictions in multiple cities. This is terrible. This is absolutely abysmal what's going on. Please drop some comments, drop some hearts, and definitely share so we can get this out for more people to see and hear. Now, you heard them mention the water and you heard them mention the forestry techniques. Now, this is a video a couple years ago of what happened during the forest fires when Trump was president. Check this out.
Cleaned out and protected. We've got to take care of the floors, you know, the floors of the forest.
That's Governor Newsom right on his side right there. That's Governor Newsom right
cleaned out and protected. We've got to take care of the floors, you know, the floors of the forests. Very important. You look at other countries where they do it differently, and it's a whole different story. I was with the president of Finland, and he said, we have a much different, we're a forest nation. He called it a forest nation. And they spend a lot of time on raking and cleaning and doing things, and they don't have any problem. And when it is, it's a very small problem. So I know everybody's looking at that, to that end, and it's going to work out.
So this is President Trump standing right there with Governor Newsom talking about exactly the process and procedures that needed to be done to prevent this type of a tragedy over 4 years ago. I believe that video was almost 6 years old now. This is insane. This is all almost intentional. You know, it's very interesting also that the areas that burnt down are all areas that they've been trying to push to be part of this smart city program. If you're not familiar with the smart city program, it is a very detrimental thing to the future of the American citizens. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to exert overarching control and restrict privacy so that they can provide 24-hour surveillance and restriction of your movements when they so choose. This is very important. They tried to push the same sort of thing in Lahaina in Maui, okay, before Maui burnt down. And the year before that, when they said, oh, we want to do this smart city stuff there, they were like, no, we don't want it. And Oprah was pushing for it. And then all of a sudden, everything burned down in Maui, where they wanted to put a smart city, but the people said no. And Oprah was pushing for it, but Oprah's house didn't burn down. I'm just, you know, it's just the things that make you go, You know what I'm saying? And these are the problems that we're seeing pop up and crop up. So when you see stuff like this, you really have to start to ask yourself, is there something else going on behind it? Now, I'm not saying see an enemy everywhere, but I'm saying this was a predictable tragedy that should have been prevented by the actual job of the government in California. They knew that it was a problem. There were articles written for years that it's a problem with all the brush and vegetation that's dried up and dead trees and stuff. They knew that they had a continual water issue because of poor water management that was continually brought up, not just due to the fires, but also because of crop irrigation in relation to the farmers. So this isn't a new thing that just popped up all of a sudden and nobody knew about it being an issue. So these are the type of conversations that we need to be having. These are the type of conversations that we need to be engaging our elected officials on, because it's very clear and very evident that they will not serve our best interest because they do not have our best interest at heart. And that is a daggone shame. If you like what we're talking about, down below in the ticker, you can see how to donate. Please donate $MW Real, the number 1, that's $MW Real, the digit 1 on Cash App. Or you can do givesendgo.com/Marcus C. Williams. We also have PayPal and Venmo. That's at Marcus C. Williams. Try to donate $5, $10, $15, whatever you can. We're trying to get like $50 an episode so we can get some more equipment and expand what we're doing so we can get the word out to more people about the important issues. So as we go through this, hit the share button, drop some comments. So check this out. Now this is a very, imagine if this was you in these fires. Check this out. Visual from the inside.
Hi. Just be okay. You're gonna be okay. Hi. You're gonna be okay. Oh shit. Yeah, don't worry about that, dude. Look at that. Oh shit. Scary, huh? Yeah. The plastic is gone, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
For the water leak?
Yeah. Oh, shit. So, where's the gas?
Outside.
Okay, the gas is off right now. Hmm? No, don't open the window. Don't open. Don't open anything. Just stay over here. Fuck.
Could you imagine being stuck inside with a fire raging like that, outside barreling down on you with just you and your dog? Horrifying. That should not be happening. These people in California should not be going through this right now. But it's very clear that our government has failed them. And we have to start asking the important questions like, why was this very much so preventable tragedy not addressed ahead of time when there have been warnings for decades about the serious issues that were going on? It's very, very, very crucial that we ask the important questions. Newsom just got reelected in a recall election not too long ago. They tried to get him out, but he got back in by the seat of his pants and still didn't address the serious issues that people were complaining about. And this doesn't even go and dive into the homelessness issue or the drug issue or the abandoned and vacant retail property in California or the people that are fleeing California and the declining population. This doesn't even venture into any of that, but it shows a continued failure of government there. And that's something that we're seeing grow in other places as well. It's a serious issue. Now, as I mentioned earlier, and please hit the share button, hit the retweet if you're on Twitter. So now, right now, there have been conversations asking, well, why is this happening here? Why is this happening now? And that's a great question because, you know, these people didn't want them to do this whole smart city program that they were trying to bring into these areas over here. And now all of this stuff is burnt down, so they're going to have to rebuild it. Whole new infrastructure, all new electronics, everything rebuilt. And I guarantee you, they make it smart city-esque and weave in all of this overarching surveillance into every fabric of these communities. So very serious, and everybody should be highly concerned about that moving forward, because that's the direction of our nation right now. Whether you love Trump, whether you don't love Trump, whether you love Biden and Harris, whether you don't love Biden and Harris, this is happening regardless. There are stronger powers above all of them that are maneuvering and moving this forward. And many people do not even realize that it is something that's being pushed. And we have to start asking very simple questions. Is all of this type of stuff an actual accident? I don't know. But it's clearly mismanagement. Were these fires intentionally set? You have to start asking yourself, this was a huge fire beyond recognition in habitable areas that were all built out, that they wanted to redo. Make it make sense. Also, all of these people in all of these homes, the vast majority of these homes, they all lost their fire insurance last year. Make that make sense. All of these people just lost their fire insurance very recently. So that shows you two things for a fact. First thing is that there was already a serious issue there, most likely, that was already noted, as we laid out earlier. It has been a serious issue. It was noted, and they have seen increased risk of fire because of the serious issues. But it also shows and makes you start to wonder, did the insurance companies know something was coming? Or, as the insurance companies run the numbers, because that's what they do, they're all about the statistics and stuff, did they know it was most likely coming? Whether they knew or whether they just calculated that it was most likely coming. This was a foreseeable tragedy that should not have happened. Now, the next question is, was it something that was accelerated or started by other means? And we have seen many fires throughout the history of California in recent memory, just the last couple of years. Almost all of them have been arson. Almost all of them. alleged arson, or, not necessarily proven or whatever. And occasionally you get somebody, oh, it was a campfire type of situation. But you have to start asking very serious questions. I'm going to show you a clip, and you just drop in a comment. You tell me what you think you're seeing there, because this is a very interesting clip. Check this out. We got shooting stars and fires now. That's not a short distance to cover. That's not like an amber or something like that going somewhere. What is that? And it's very clear that it's got a high heat sensitive ray, because you can see it so brightly and so boldly. Now, I'm not saying it's aliens, but it was hitting. No, I'm joking. But I'm serious about the fact that it does appear to be something flying at a high and rapid pace away from where the area of the flames are, and not on the ground or in the vicinity of where they are fighting the actual fire. So it starts to make you wonder, and that's not the only place that we've seen video footage like that. I couldn't get all the footage that I wanted to prepare for this video in this time frame, but I'll show you this other video here. Check this out. So now watching that, you can see that there are drones that are active, or some type of very small, most likely unmanned craft that's being used out there. Now, whether it was civilian or professional or even fire department is open for conversations. But again, these fires spread really quick in a number of different areas and seem to be, I don't know, suspiciously in areas that they wanted to redevelop. Now, I saw this earlier in the last year, and I was like, man, I gotta get me one of those. I want one. Check this thing out. This is wild. Let's see. Got video. That's amazing, and I want one. If you really love me, you'll get me one of those. I'm joking. I'm also serious. But no, so these were supposed to be tools of forestry management and other stuff like that. But there's no way to say that tools like this couldn't possibly have been used, like we saw in that video footage. Not that one, but the one 2 clips ago. That seemed very interesting with other stuff going on. So not necessarily that particular type of drone, but other ones and stuff like that. We just don't know. But the areas which were besieged by fire, they're all very interesting that they wanted to redevelop all of those areas. So we need to have a conversation there. Really, really serious one. It's very important. Now, as we talk about the effects of the long-term impacts of this fire, we'll have to do a follow-up video so I can show you as the images start to come out of people's houses that have been completely lost, communities completely gone, neighborhoods completely destroyed, whole townships almost completely in ashes. Terribly frightful. Absolutely crazy. Please hit like, hit share, hit some hearts, drop some comments, and definitely share this out to get it out to more people. So as we go down this path together, you guys, we got to start having these important conversations and getting the information out to more people so that more people start asking important questions. Nobody's coming to save us. It's up to us to demand accountability from our government, but also action from our government when it's necessary. Like, this was completely preventable, but they did not prepare for it at all. Even though Governor Newsom did run that little ad campaign, like it's an advertisement for him running for re-election type situation. Nasty, nasty man, there he is. It's insane. So on another note, talking about the government and the government doing stuff, Trump is getting ready and geared up to get into office, and oh boy, has he been having some press conferences. We've been seeing over the last couple of weeks, we've had people that Trump has done press conference with saying that they're bringing billions of dollars worth of investment to the U.S. We saw Sun Masayoshi a couple weeks ago talking about they're bringing a $200 billion worth of investments, and hopefully it'll be $5 billion worth of investments. That's $500 billion. 500 billion. That's $500 billion. That's a lot of investment into the U.S. And just yesterday, Trump had another press conference about about one investor that's going to be doing some investing. And we're going to take a look at this clip real quick, and then we're going to talk about it, because this is really awesome and it's very, very cool. Check this out.
Amazing news for me and my family when he was elected in November. We've been waiting 4 years to increase our investments in U.S. to a very large amount of money. We are a company operating in more than 20 countries around the world. We have delivered more than 45,000 luxury units and another 45,000 in the pipeline. In data center, we are in 10 countries around the world, in Asia, Europe, and Middle East. And we're very, very excited now with his leadership and his open strategy and policy to encourage businesses to come to U.S. For the last 4 years, we've been waiting for this moment. And we're planning to invest $20 billion, and even more than that if the opportunity, the market allow us.
Now that's amazing. That's really somebody out there that's trying to move the country forward and actually secure deals that are going to help grow our nation forward. That gentleman, not only does he build luxury units, but more importantly, he builds data centers. And that was one of the focuses of that part of the press conference, is that he's working on building data centers here in the U.S. And as we know, data centers are the backbone of not just the internet, but of the future of computing. They put a lot of virtual machines out there in the world and stuff like that. If you're not familiar, that's where you can like use just a screen and a keyboard to have a computer a million miles away and just access it from there. But not just that. It's also the future for AI computing. They're going to need tons of more data centers and stuff like that. So this is a real crucial investment at a time that we need it more now than ever. That's awesome. $20 billion for more actual infrastructure that can be used to build out our massive AI, I guess you would say, economy that's coming, right? Because that's what it is. It's an AI economy. And it's going to really be, for the next couple of years until it's almost fully automating itself, going to be a big chunk of growth and a growth factor for our economy, not just for construction, but also for jobs, at least as it starts to pop off. And then it'll self-rectify, because then it'll start programming stuff for itself. And that's a whole nother concern, which we've actually talked about before, because I am concerned about the outgrowth of AI and how fast it's growing and the number of jobs and complex tasks that it's able to take over. Very concerning. And we do need to fix our educational system because of that. So that's something that's very important also. Please hit heart, hit a share, hit a comment, and definitely follow and subscribe. And we're going to talk about some other great stuff going on right now. Now, Trump also said quite a few other things in that press conference because he was pushed by the media. But still, let's check this next clip out and we'll talk about it.
These people are crazy. There's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with them. They also want to go back, and they have already started that, to when you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to preserve. Even in areas that have so much water, you don't know what to do. It's called rain. Comes down from heaven, and they want to do no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip. So what happens? You're in the shower 10 times as long. You know, no water comes out of the faucet. You want to wash your hands. They want to go back to even stronger than what they have right now. As you know, I ended that policy. You can have all the water you want. Makes no difference. It comes weird, especially in certain areas. We have so much water, we don't know what to do with it.
That's why I like Trump, because he's funny, you guys. He's funny, but he's real at the same time. He said it's called rain, and it comes from the heavens. That's funny. But it's true though. So he's talking there about onerous. So he's talking there about onerous regulation, overregulation that's been forced into our nation by an overbearing federal government. As they say, oh, we're protecting this, we're protecting that. Like, and when we get back to it all the time, and I say this time and time and time again, everything is about the water. Don't worry about nothing else. Everything is about the water, people. I've done many videos on this before. I'm not going to jump into it tonight, but everything is about water. All of these plans, all of this stuff, it's all about water. And the water is all about control. So that's how you really control the people. Water and food, two things that you can't really go without. Everything else, you can kind of try to do something, but if you control the water and the food, you control the people. So pay attention and look at what's going on. Now, as far as those over-regulations and burdensome regulations, remember, they're getting rid of gas stoves and ranges and stuff like that, and all types of crazy stuff too that they're pushing. So when he's talking about these overburdening regulations that are really destroying the fabric of our country, it's real. And then they want everything to go electric, but we don't even have the actual build out for the electric stuff that we need. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do another video on this later, but I'm going to play this video for you guys of the executive of the local gas and electric people. That is where I am. Check this out, because this will go exactly into that example.
So many towns seem to be having these issues when we're just talking about housing and business development, let alone some of the upcoming state mandates for electric school buses and public transit. Can you keep up with those mandates, and how?
That's where I referenced the nationwide challenge. It's really something that all utilities and all leaders across the United States are really looking at.
Yeah, but I mean, this school bus mandate is coming for us in the next couple of years. So is it even physically possible for our districts right now?
I think that's really something that the state has been looking at in a collaborative approach between NYSERDA, the New York Independent System Operator, the New York Public Service Commission.
Her answer was no. It's not possible. We don't have the scale, we don't have the energy production, and we don't have the infrastructure. That was her answer. But she couldn't just say that because it would make everybody look bad and they really be on her hindquarters. But that was essentially her answer. And honestly, she gave us more straight answers than a lot of our government officials. And that's a horrible travesty. That's real serious. But it's like the lady said, even though she tried to pawn it off and say, oh, it's an issue all across the nation. Well, it is an issue all across the nation because it's something that's being forced on the people, that's being done intentionally to hobble the economy, because the next most important thing to water and food is electricity, especially when they're pushing everything to be electric. Understand, energy is another form of control, and that's why they don't want energy independence or us to be able to have low-cost energy. And that's why I am very thankful for Trump talking about he's going to restore us as an energy superpower, and even look into Greenland, to getting Greenland and making it a part of the country, because they have a lot of resources there. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Greenland, how are you going to get Greenland into our country? You're supposed to be talking about lowering the cost of groceries and stuff like that, and this, that, and the third. First of all, who said that? Who said that? Who said that we can't incorporate Greenland into the United States and lower the cost of milk and eggs. You understand what I'm saying? Like that one is not mutually exclusive. We can do both, right? Like, especially since the fact of the matter is in the United States, we have the technology. And guess what? In Greenland, they have the natural resources. So we can dig, baby, dig, and we can drill, baby, drill out there. And we can get a lot of the resources that we are now getting from China at not only a extra large cost, but we're also funding our enemy. China's actively at war with us in a manner in which most people don't even understand, but we're not going to talk about that in this video because I've talked about it before. But this is very, very, very serious, and we need to be having these conversations. People are like, oh, well, he's trying to get Greenland, and Greenland's its own country and stuff. Like, first of all, Greenland's a territory of Denmark. Denmark's like this big, okay? They a buttonhole on a whole elephant, okay? Like, they're not, like, Denmark is not much of sizable of anything, right? They don't even have like a real standing military that can do much of anything. So that's a whole separate conversation. But the fact of the matter is Greenland is also closer to importance to the United States as far as defense go, and as far as development of the island and the resources that are there and acquisition of those resources. Not only can we wean ourselves off of crucial precious metals and what do you call them, rare earth metals and materials that are needed that we get almost exclusively from places like China and Russia, we'd be able to start our own mines and stuff there. And we'd actually be able to put a lot more back into the US economy because of that. So we can definitely do both that and lower the cost of eggs and meat and stuff like that, because having more of the resources that we need being part of our country and being able to get them from our country would be aggressively beneficial to our economy, and it would lower costs. So there's that. So check this next clip out right here, because these are the type of conversations that we need to have. And if you're appreciating what we're talking about, please hit share, hit the heart button, hit a thumbs up, and get this out to more people. Even hit a retweet or whatever you can do, and drop some comments. And if you drop a comment, we'll try to put it up. Now check out this next video. This is another thing that Trump was saying. Here, check this out.
I wanted to touch on the world on fire that you mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal. But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because, you know, it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy. But he was a good man. Look, he was a good man. I knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person, but that was a big mistake. Giving the Panama Canal to Panama was a very big mistake. We lost 38,000 people. It cost us the equivalent of $1 trillion, maybe more than that. Probably the most expensive, they say it was the most expensive structure, if we call it a structure, which I guess you can, ever built. And giving that away was a horrible thing. And I believe that's why Jimmy Carter lost the election, even more so than the hostages. Those two things.
We are running massive flash sales right now for.
So that's important, right? So he talked about Greenland. He talked about Panama. And these are important conversations when we're talking about not just the future of trade, but the future of development for our nation as a whole. We spoke briefly on the whole thing with the Greenland situation and why that's important, but we also need to talk about the issue of why Panama is important. The Panama Canal is the only stretch of body of water that actually goes between the Atlantic and the Pacific. Hey, Kevin, I see you there. I see you there. Kevin's saying a whole bunch of stuff. It's too big for one little thing to put on the screen, but I see you there, Kevin. So yeah, so with this push for Panama and the Panama Canal, he's not pushing for the whole country. He's just pushing for the Panama Canal, which used to be ours, which I think what do we lose like almost 83,000 people or something like that. Building the Panama Canal is some ridiculous number. Maybe it's 38,000. Regardless, we lost tens of thousands of lives building that canal. It was ours. Okay. It should have never been given to them. And that was a very serious problem. Given, sold, right? It was $1. They sold it for $1. I had $1. I wasn't born yet, but still, I could have bought it. You know, you got $1. Would you like to buy the Panama Canal for $1? As much shipping that goes through there, it's amazing. Because what happens is, like I said, it's the only waterway that goes between the Atlantic and the Pacific. So alternatively, you'd have to go all the way around down South America and around the other way. That adds weeks. I believe it's something like it cuts 6 weeks of transit time off by going through the Panama Canal. It might be a little bit more, but I believe it's 6 weeks at this time with current shipping stuff. So, but this is very, very serious. And it's crucial because now, and if you guys didn't know this, I've done other videos on it, but you can look this up. In what do you call it? In Nicaragua, which is right next to Panama, okay? In Nicaragua, China was trying to build their own canal to actually rival the Panama Canal because there are these ships, they're called post-Panex ships. And that means that they're too big to go through the Panama Canal. They're huge. So those are ships that do go all the way around. And this is very, very, very important to know how important shipping is. So could we need to widen the Panama Canal? We just put a whole bunch of investment into it a few years ago trying to widen the canal, which hasn't even been brought up in the conversation as of yet. And now Panama's asking for all this extra money so that we can actually make it more improved, right? So that's something that we need to talk about. It does need to be widened. But like I said, China was trying to make their own canal to go through Nicaragua, and Nicaragua has a giant lake in the middle of it with an island in the middle of it. This is a very interesting dynamic there. And they were trying to do a canal all the way through there, but it fell through. Now, I don't know what it was, whether it was geopolitical issues or whether the U.S. came in and started knocking people off or whatever the situation is. But I'm glad that project stopped because that would have been devastating. And it would have allowed China control of all the shipping in both these two parts of the hemisphere over here in the U.S. Well, not that everything is the U.S., but the Americas, right? This is very serious, and these are important conversations. Please hit share, hit a heart, drop some comments. We'll try to pop up your comments as we go through this. So definitely hit the share and the retweet button and the hearts. And as we're having this conversation now, talking about Panama and the importance of it to our shipping, it's being run by China because China's project fell through in Nicaragua. They just decided to say, hey, well, let us see what we can do to move into the Panamanian government and just try to make all types of monetary indenturement. That's what they do. Debt slavery. That's what China does. That's their whole concept of their whole Belt and Road Initiative. That's what everything China does is about. It's about helping the homeland of China. They don't care about helping anybody else. It's all manipulative. And that's what's going on exactly in Panama right now. So when Trump's like, oh, we need to take back the Panama Canal, absolutely, 100%. And then the president of Panama got on the TV and said, oh, well, it's ours and you can't have it back and it's part of our rich history of conquest and this, that, and the third. And I don't know, maybe that translation was poor. Okay. Maybe my Spanish is off, but that was like what he said. You understand what I'm saying? So, history of conquest. Hey, man, listen, I stand on and I stand for the expansion of the American empire. I've never said anything different. I'm very vehemently anti-globalist, but I do stand for expanding the U.S.'s territories and the U.S.'s actual acreage. I believe in that very heartily. You know, I'm very American. You understand what I'm saying? I also am anti-war. I don't believe that we should be in any war which we're not taking territory in. But we can't have that conversation either. And it's a very serious conversation to have. If we're not getting a benefit, we shouldn't be doing it as a nation. But what's been happening lately in the last couple of decades, especially, is private interests and private corporations have been driving the military-industrial complex to suit their own needs and just completely square out anything that might be beneficial to the Americans. We can't even have our soldiers take loot and plunder anymore. What type of nonsense is that? Our soldiers are over there risking life and limb, and you mean that they can't take what they can carry? I mean, you deserve everything that you get, man. Well, they shouldn't be over there. They shouldn't be over anywhere. Now, to the point about Panama, okay, the governor, wow, president of Panama is like, well, it's ours, and you can't have it back. Can't have it back, bro. We built that. We got blood on that soil to build that. Okay, what do you mean we can't have it back? Who do you think you're talking to? Okay, we have a history of overthrowing countries in Latin America and South America. Who is he talking to? Like, did he forget who we are? Like, we will Guam them, okay? In less than a day, we will take over Panama. Don't play with us. Like, who is he talking to? Like, don't be like that, bro. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the way where you don't end up in office. You understand what I'm saying? And that's not a threat, right? Like, that's just a definite promise. And we're only talking about through trade because they could Noriega him. Now, if you guys are familiar with what happened in Noriega, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar with what happened in Noriega, I'd encourage you to look into the story of Noriega. There was actually a good, like, I guess, what do you call it? Enriched bio documentary type of situation that they did on, I think it was HBO some years back. Noriega, God's Favorite. That was a really good movie. They did a really good job. I wrote some papers back on Noriega and what happened in Nicaragua some years ago. But yeah, it's very interesting. But we have a history of overthrowing Latin governments. I've always thought that we shouldn't have overthrown any Latin governments because why are we overthrowing their government if we're not incorporating them into the U.S.? That sounds stupid to me. Why are we doing that? We need to mind our business unless we're taking territories, you know. And I'm a fan of the Monroe Doctrine if it actually worked the way that it's supposed to work. But if we're over there just toppling governments and stuff like that, I'm not for that. And that's a big, big issue. So when we say we want the Panama Canal back and the control over that back, I hear Trump. That's something that's very important and crucial because China could cut the trade off through Panama Canal. And then what do we do? Then we're going to be stuck and out of luck, right? So what happens if that happens? And that's something important that we need to have a conversation about that nobody seems to actually want to talk about. And that's very disappointing. And when are we going to have a conversation about it? We should be having one right now. But we got, what's his name? Hakeem Jeffries talking about, oh, well, the president is saying that we're going to have military intervention in Greenland. In Greenland? Greenland doesn't even barely have a police force. What do you mean military intervention in Greenland? Nobody trying to have military intervention in Greenland. Strictly diplomacy. Okay, strictly diplomacy. Stop trying to make it something that was never said. Trump never said anything about that. It wasn't even implied. Panama, on the other hand, that's a whole separate conversation. Okay, I can't guarantee you with Panama. Okay, because Panama been acting up. But again, everything at the end of the day is about the best interests of America. I know not everybody shares that same thought process with me as far as the U.S. being an expansionist country. But I believe in imperial America. There's only one flag, and that's the American flag. And I'm dead serious about that. I've always stood on that. I've always believed that. My whole issue with globalism and everything like that is the erasure of the American culture and our rich heritage and history. Okay, that has always been my issue with globalism, and I will never apologize for that being my issue, because anybody trying to erase my country can catch these hands for real. Okay, and I mean it. But the fact of the matter is, please hit like and share, and definitely subscribe if you're not already following or subscribed. So make sure that you hit the share button so we can get this important level of conversation out to more people. But when we're talking about incorporating Greenland, we're not talking about incorporating Panama. We're just talking about getting back control over the Panama Canal, which we built, which we had control over, which they are now ripping us a new one over. So they're cheating us in Panama over it. So we shouldn't be letting that happen. And we daggone sure shouldn't let China be running all types of stuff in it. And they're like, that's not happening. That's absolutely happened. Ask a Jamaican what's happening with China in Jamaica, and then tell me it's not happening in Panama. Okay? Ask a Jamaican. The Chinese taking over everything. They own all the road, all the highways and tollways in Jamaica. And they're owning multiple airports now too, and seaports. They're basically taking over Jamaica. We need to have a conversation about Jamaica at another point. Okay? So when we're having these serious conversations, we have to think of it for two ways. Okay? First, economically. Second, how is it going to affect our defense of our nation? And if it's good for the defense and it's good for economy, it's a good move. If it's bad for the defense but good for the economy, it's not a move. If it's good for defense and not for the economy, we might need to consider it. Okay, but at the end of the day, it should be to maximize the potential of the United States of America. And gaining more territory and more mineral resources, or in this case, in relation to Panama, because the mineral resource is Greenland, and also territorial resources, including the Arctic Circle, and being able to have more power up there and exert power up there when China and Russia are doing all types of extracurricular stuff up there that we really need to have a conversation about, but we'll do that in a different video. Please like and share. And if you want to donate, you can check the ticker out below. You can donate at GiveSendGo/Marcus C. Williams, or you could donate via Cash App. That's $MW Real, the number 1. That's $MW Real 1. And we also have Venmo and PayPal, and you can do at Marcus C. Williams on that. Please, we're trying to raise about $50 a show that we do so that we can get more equipment, get more airtime, and get these messages that are important to have these conversations about out to more people. Even if you drop $5, $10, $15, whatever you can, every little bit helps. So as we have this important conversation, we have to understand that if we're going to move our nation forward, we have to plan for the future. And yes, I understand that the economy is important, but resources are most crucial when it comes to expanding and securing our economy. So yes, acquiring Greenland is very important. So yes, taking control back over Panama is very important. And I got some other thoughts on expansion, including Belize, okay, and the Philippines. Philippines, we're sorry, you guys. Please come home. The Philippines used to be an American territory, but we mucked that up real good. That's bad. We didn't do them right when we had them. Come on back home, baby. Come on. Philippines, come back in the fold. Come on back. But as far as America going out and exerting force and will, we're just talking about economics. We're talking about benefits to the other countries and stuff like that. And even with Canada, them talking about Canada being the 51st state and talking about that, really it's talking about more about economic ties than anything else. It's not really talking about making it a part of America, although I do fully support that. Okay. And yes, I know, well, they're trying to make it like the exclusive economic zone that the Democrats wanted in the 90s and stuff like that. And people were saying that that was bad. Absolutely, it was bad upon the way that they were talking about implementing 100%. 100% is not the same. It is not the same. Okay. America needs to run the house. And that's the way I really feel. Don't get me started. Okay. Like I said, I very much so support expansion of America and imperial America. Okay. Don't tell me nothing else different. I'm not trying to hear it. Okay. But it's okay if you hold a different point of view. I won't shun you for that. I understand. And there are merits to that conversation as well. But I do again see a probability for an issue if it's not run by America and the spirit of America, because it is very easily able to turn into a globalist type of thing. But there isn't anything wrong with the US expanding its territory. But we have to look at that and we have to weigh it out and look at what our elected officials are doing when it's coming to that, and look at what these daggone technocrats are doing when it comes to that type of stuff and what type of moves they're making. As we talked about this smart city nonsense that they're doing earlier, even though Trump's coming into office, he's even pushing for these things called freedom cities, which I am not very happy about. I'm very terribly concerned about it because it sounds nothing like anything but smart cities that he's trying to push to be built. Maybe he doesn't know what they are. Maybe he does know what they are. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he just sees an opportunity for more money. But I'm against all of that. Okay, and I like him. So that's doesn't mean, don't get it twisted. Right is good, and ain't right ain't good. You understand what I'm saying? So we need to have these important conversations. Please share, please heart, please donate. You can see how to donate in the ticker below. We're going to check out this last video of Trump right here. Check this out.
Better get done by the inaugural.
But when you say all hell will be paid, that all hell must be paid if they don't release the hostages.
Well, do I have to define it for you? Look, all hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is.
So just yesterday, day before yesterday, the Houthis in Yemen attacked one of our boats, one of our aircraft carrier. I think it was Roosevelt. Don't quote me on that one. Okay, but I think it was the Roosevelt. And they attacked one of our aircraft carrier. I don't know the extent of the damage or if there was much damage to it at all. But if anybody knows anything, you know you don't touch America's boats. It's very, very serious. You don't touch our boats. That's how you get messed up. Okay. Please hit like and share and drop a comment. I'll do my best to pop up a comment on the screen if you pop one out. But as we have these serious conversations about what's going on, you see him talking about the hostages, right? Like over in the Middle East, they're flexing on us right now. Okay, the US. Forget what's going on with Israel. Israel got their own thing going on, right? They got hostages that are American citizens over there. I think everybody's dead. Don't get it twisted. I'm like 99% sure all of the hostages are dead. So I don't. If any of them are still alive, it'll be amazing to me, you know. And somebody was making a point. Oh well, what if they were killed in the airstrikes and stuff from Israel and stuff like that? I just don't think they're alive. I can't tell you how I think that they died because I don't have a thought on that matter. But I would almost guarantee you that if we got one more hostage that's still alive, that would be an amazing thing. But one thing that people don't know is they're like, oh, well, Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. But a lot of those people over there were taken by individual groups that were not Hamas. They got so many different terror groups over there or independent cells and groups that are over there that are not actually Hamas. How can you even tell? You understand? But the Hamas was like the ruling party or whatever, the ruling military type of group and political party at the same time. So this is a whole separate conversation because we can't have a conversation about how Hamas rose to power because they tried to get rid of the Palestinian Authority. Can't have that conversation. No, 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 no. That might upset Israel. We can't talk about who funded Hamas coming to power and stuff like that because they wanted the Palestinian Authority gone. You know, the whole Yasser Arafat thing and all of that nonsense. No, 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 no. Can't have those conversations. That'd be a real conversation that's really necessary. And I don't care how anybody feels about it because we need to have a real open conversation about what's going on in the Middle East. Okay? Israel wants to take more territory. Do what you can. Whatever you do, do it for your own military. Do it for your own money. Do it for your own might. You understand what I'm saying? What they used to say, might makes right. And that's not necessarily the case, but when it comes to warfare, it absolutely 100% is. But we shouldn't be having our troops die over there. We shouldn't be sending our money over there. We shouldn't be sending nothing over there. If Israel wants to buy weapons from us, that's good. We shouldn't be loaning them nothing or nothing. They got money. And they got all of their what do you call them? Not expats. They're currently citizens across the world. Expat means that you're kind of not in part of the country anymore. But anyway, they got their people all over the world. They got money. They got mad money. If they want to fund their own war, they can fund their own war. Let them fund it. They're not never going to give us that money back. But we know that. And they can pay it back, which is different from Ukraine, which we ain't never going to see that money. So just don't even get that twisted there. We're never going to get that money back from Ukraine. But Israel got the money. And they got so many people all across the world that could pitch in to pay the money for Israel. But we out here dishing out money for them. Stop it. Stop it. They got the money. Pay the money. You know what I'm saying? But we can't talk about that. But it's because special interest lobbies run our Congress right now, and they do what they will and lead us willy-nilly by the nose, you know? It's a serious, serious issue. And we need to have that conversation, but nobody wants to have that conversation because the second you start having that conversation, oh, you're anti-Israel, oh, you're anti-Zionist, oh, you're anti-Semitic, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. Please. I'm not none of that. Okay? I'm not none of that, and I don't care. I'm pro-America. I'm pro-Christianity. Get off my back, okay? And I support Israel's right to defend themselves, okay? But I do have some concerns when it comes to the finances that they're getting from our country. We shouldn't be giving them no money. Fact, okay? They got plenty of money around the world with their people that carry their, listen, if you live around the world and you're from Israel and you carry an Israel passport or you got dual citizenship, you better roll up off some ducats and give it to Israel since they talking about they need us to get them a loan. They don't need no loan. You crazy? Y'all got money. Don't even start. That's very, very frustrating because that shows a complete disinterest in what we need to do for our own nation, right? Israel can do whatever they want to. But what about what the U.S. needs to do for its own people, for our own benefit? That Middle East nonsense don't help us none. It just help Israel. Let Israel do what they want. They're going to do. They're going to do what they want to do anyway. That's a history of them since they became a nation. They always done what they wanted to do. And it's to heck with the U.S. no matter what the U.S. wants. They don't care about us. We need to care about ourselves. If somebody else decides to jump in Israel's fight when they messing with these other people, they can catch these hands because we got treaties with them and they are one of our closest allies. Don't get it twisted. But the fact of the matter is that they can handle their own. But the U.S. always doing something because we got, again, powerful lobbies, special interests that are not the interests of the American people. Like what happened to that? What was it? We almost spent $200 million on that pier over there that broke down and fell away into the river and into the ocean. We're going to talk about that. How much money was that even? Ridiculous amount. But again, it's about our prioritization for our own country and what's going to benefit us. War in the Middle East don't benefit us. The U.S. ain't taking no territory over here. We're not going to Lebanon tomorrow and taking territory. We got one little carve out over there in southern Syria. We're going to make that part of the United States of America? Come on, stop playing with me. Unless we really taking territory, we ain't got no business nowhere. We shouldn't have been in Iraq. We shouldn't have been in Afghanistan. We shouldn't have been in Lebanon. I mean, what do you call it? Syria. I was going to say Libya, but also Libya too. We shouldn't have been in none of those places. We didn't take none of them and incorporate them in the U.S., and we lost blood over there. Craziness. But as we finish this up, make sure that you hit share, hit like, get this conversation out to more people so we can have more conversations like this. And please, if the spirit compels you, donate. If the spirit doesn't compel you, donate anyway. We're trying, whether it can be $5, $10, $15, whatever, you can see how to donate down in the ticker below or on the sides of the screen. So as we have this important conversation about where we're going forward as a nation, expanding the U.S.'s territory is kind of crucial. Yes, I understand that Canada is not actually a country. I hope you understand that Canada is not a country. Canada is a commonwealth underneath British rule. So we could, in theory, get them from Britain. You understand what I'm saying? Or we could see if we can get enough support from inside Canada to, incorporate them into the U.S. There's a big statehood movement in places like Alberta, which has been trying to become a state for years. They've been pushing for that, as well as Saskatchewan. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, they can keep Ontario, but that's a, I mean, excuse me, they can keep they can keep Ontario and Quebec later for them. Lot of people there that been up to no good. But, you know, it wouldn't be a bad thing for the U.S. to have more territory. We essentially protect, we are essentially the military for Canada for all intents and purposes. And they do have a lot of stuff to answer for. And I'm not just talking about the war crimes that they've committed. Canada's committed, if y'all don't know, y'all know about Canada. Canada's ruthless when it comes to war. Separately, personally, you know, this is just a personal thing. I want some get back for the War of 1812. I didn't forget about that. So if we can take part of Canada with diplomacy and stuff like that, I'm all for it. I remember what happened in the War of 1812. Never to be forgiven. Never. And I stand on that. But like I said, please like, share, heart this, get this message out to more people so we can start having the important conversations that need to be had. Definitely drop a comment, hit retweet, and we'll have more conversations soon. There's always new stuff happening, more stuff to talk about, and I'll catch you guys later. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. You guys, be blessed, be well. Catch you soon.